for sale is a pair of Denon D2000s. Um, I believe I'm the second owner of these. I bought them on HeadFi. I'd say almost 8 or 9 months ago. Um, and pretty much the way they appear is the way that they were purchased as. Um, as with all D2000s, they have the cable issues. You can see these kinks in the cable, and that's pretty much just from regular storage. And there's there's not much that from what I've heard since they came this way that you can really do about it. It's just one of the major issues and part of the Mark L mod. The cable is almost not necessarily about improving sound quality, but rather just changing from this cable, which, although the sleeving does look nice initially, it tends to kink because it's not very flexible. And I'll try to get a closer look. I've gotten better lighting, so hopefully this will be more helpful. But you can see it has like rolls in it, and initially it was a little worse, but I found just by pulling the single cable in between the middle here, you're able to get out a lot of the issues, and pretty much here is the way that it is after I did that. Other than that, the cable's in as good as condition as can be, given the way it was produced. And you have a 1/4 inch, and this unscrews to an 1/8 inch adapter. So it is versatile in that expense. And the condition is very, very good, considering the fact that other than the cable, which there's not much you can do about it. As you can see, the cups, there's clean, no damage here. The lettering is clean; it's not faded or anything. And then on the inside, these. And then there's no. Some people have had issues where there's separation here, and that could be from handling, but there's no issue with that. There's no cracks in the extension housing, and it works perfectly and secures. So whatever springing or ball mechanism that they use, it's working. Here's the underneath. Now, I didn't say they're in excellent condition because of the 3 marks that I have here, and as you can see, there is a set of 2 right there, 2, and there's 1 here and 1 there. And I believe this was the way that I received them, so just so you can get a good look. And you see the tiny 1 on the left, and then the 2 right there, and then the 1 on the right. Other than that, though, there's no other issues with the Denons themselves. And as you can see, these are not stock Denon pads. I have the stock ones here, so you can use them. And their sound and work. These are the latest revision of the J Money Denon pads. And as you can see, they're thicker. A lot of people, the mids were the mids were described as recessed, and the soundstage a little bit compact. And what these did is they basically moved the driver away from the ear and perhaps angled it slightly differently so that there's more space and more clearing for the bass to dissipate a little bit better, so it's not quite as boomy and overpowering, and that'll give room for the mids to be perceived better. Also, it increased the soundstage, obviously, because you're moving the driver away, so it allows for a wider soundstage. the one things that these Denons are typically known for is their bass. They have a very responsive bass. That's the one thing. I was just listening to some trance music, and the bass had no issue whatsoever keeping up, and that's paired with a Asgard. And right now, since my sound card went down, I'm using a an onboard Creative Zyph. I think it's called Creative MB2 or something. It's on a premium motherboard. It's a Crosshair 5, and it is a Realtek based sound device. It outputs pretty good, but I didn't. It's not quite as resolving as the Forte, and then I have the Titanium HD coming in, and also a Bifrost. So if I still have them, I'll take a listen and maybe describe. But I do remember them to be as they were. And obviously there's a little issue with background noise, but that's just because of the sound card. And now, so what I like about them is they have a presentation that's very similar to the Bear Dynamics. They have excellent highs. They're not as piercing as, let's say, a DT990s are described. They have that shimmer when you hear cymbals or triangles or anything of that nature, and the mids are good. They are slightly recessed, and a lot of times that's what I prefer. I prefer the music to be a part of the music, the vocals to be a part of the music rather than push forward. Music is about melody and voice together, not specifically one or the other. So I feel that the presentation has a good combination. It doesn't quite have the imaging of other headphones I've listened to. Now, granted, those headphones are far more expensive, and being orthodynamics and the T1s, and so the imaging isn't quite as precise. And again, it depends on how you want to listen, or frankly, what you're in the mood for. And like that Bear Dynamic, particularly the DT990, it has that liquid type of presentation with the soundstage. Now, granted, the DT990 had a wider soundstage, but this soundstage with the J Moneys is quite good for a closed headphone. And also the isolation is good. Again, because it's closed, and the seal is pretty good with the J Moneys. And that liquid presentation where everything, the notes and the imaging, it kind of flows together. It doesn't have that boundary where one thing is located here and another thing is located here, and the notes are like, this is, your mids are clearly defined right here, and you could hear your mids completely separated from everything. Everything feels to kind of flow together, and that doesn't mean that things aren't reproduced accurately. Things are reproduced very accurately. It just has a more sense of flowing to it, which is a really good experience, and it's very enjoyable. They're very comfortable. And I guess it's just because of the new purchases, or the new trades or whatever, that I just haven't been listening to them that much. And I had to take a listening session to reevaluate them and form an opinion again of what I feel about them. Some of the things that aren't quite so ideal is the bass can be boomy, but again, it's not for lack of detail. It's not where it can't produce fast beats. It can do that, and it does that extremely well. It's just sometimes the bass does feel a little bit boomy, and that's part of the allure that it has. It has excellent bass and excellent impact on the bass. And I was just listening to LCD2s, and although the LCD2s are considered some of the best in bass, considering the price difference, there's quite a lot of value in the D2000s. And they are extremely enjoyable, and I hope that they can go to a place where they are appreciated, because I just don't listen to them much anymore. And also, I have the box now. The tab on the box here that held it in is broken, and that was just the way I received it. It's pretty much just a standard box, like plastic and cardboard. It's nothing really extravagant. And yeah, so they will come with both the default pads and the J Moneys. So I think the J Moneys were like 50 to $70 if I remember correctly. I did purchase them brand new. These obviously are burnt in. They have a great amount of hours at them. By the way, you can also, I did use them with gaming, and they are pretty good. Granted, they aren't as good as some of the open cans, but for a closed can, and it has a good sound stage with the J Moneys, and you can get positional cues with good 3D emulation. So it was a good experience, and I hope they find a good home. They are very nice. There's been a lot of talk about them compared to the D7000s, and even tried to do the comparison by bringing them to B&H and actually listening to both of them, changing out, and the D7000s did feel smoother, but again, that might have been perception, just because you look at the D7000s and they're so visually appealing and they look smooth, so maybe that might translate into perception. But as far as the difference, there isn't much, and I considered initially getting the D7000s, but considering there wasn't much of a difference, the cost didn't make sense. So I stuck with these, and I had them for a good time, and now it's time to send them away, I guess.